Saw 4 isn't a bad film per se, but to me, it certainly feels like the first time the series took a misstep. It's apparent that the writers were intent on creating a long-running, intertwined narrative of twisty-turny gobbledygooky, instead of focusing on making a strong film one at a time. But how will this general feeling of meh translate into my rankings of the tests and traps of Saw 4? At the bottom of the pile, we have Perez and Strahm's trial. The main reason this ranks so low for me is Agent Strahm himself. Even saying his name annoys me. Strahm. Played by Jason Lee's roided up evil twin, this prick's got a cockroach up his scrot from minute one, pelting evidence at people's chests and generally being a jumped up moody bastard. He only gets worse from there, storming about from scene to scene, throwing shade and flaring nostrils.
What's his problem?
Your judgmental cracks and grumpy teenage mannerisms aren't helping Jack poop, Strahm. I've got no beef with Agent Perez, yet at the same time, she's too bland to balance out her partner's raging case of the bellends. Their investigation with Kramer's ex, Jill, bogs down the film and distracts from the main story. Again, it's too giddily fumbling with setting up future protagonists and antagonists. The end of this test in Saw 4 is anticlimactic. He does bump off that other idiot, Jeff, but just gets himself locked in a room. Now that's 4 films in a row ending with a dude getting locked in a room. Gentlemen, the returns are diminishing. Their test is slightly redeemed by 2 very minor moments. Firstly, turning Billy the puppet into a mini trap itself is laudable. And secondly, Perez and Strahm are having one of their regular chats when a nearby officer accidentally triggers a bolt, taking out another colleague in the process. Awful, traumatizing stuff for normal people, but Strahm just carries on. Business as fucking usual. Hilarious. Speaking of Strahm's derivative aspects, in 8th position, it's Art Blank's test. Art Blank, aka Zepp Light, is a lawyer who is enlisted to carry out Jigsaw's administrative tasks. If he fails, the trap on his back will split his spine. Is he a particularly scummy lawyer who cheats the system to free his dodgy clients? No, not really, I don't think so. He's just a lawyer. So he's being punished for doing his job. Nice. Anyway, while Zepp was curiously weird and kind of into it all, Art is blank by name and blank by nature. In 7th place, I regretfully nominate the main plotline, Officer Daniel Riggs' test. Placing all of these central plot-based tests at the tail end of my ranking absolutely sums up my feeling towards this entry in the franchise. Diana Rigg is a member of the SWAT team that's always showing up to Jigsaw's crime scenes a day late.
Friendly RCXD inbound.
All of the other cops around him, Eric, Kerry, seem to suffer terrible fates. As such, he's got survivor's guilt up the wazoo, and a burning desire to save everyone. So, a police officer who wants to help people? Wow, what a crime! And again, he's just a guy doing his job, yeah? Jigsaw's new scheme revolves around Rigg allowing others to save themselves. Yes, Jigsaw always tested everyone to save themselves and find new reasons to survive and live. Cherish your life! But that hardly seems like a strong enough reason for Rigg to be put through all this. Collating the evidence from Saw 2 onwards indicates that Rigg and the SWAT team aren't exactly on the ball in regards to this case, so Rigg's desire to help isn't really hindering the master plan. What the villain's gonna do now? Put every single policeman through the same convoluted rigmarole? It's like Hoffman saw Rigg rush through that one door at the beginning and was like, ugh, fuck this guy. Let's set up a city-wide game of puzzles and torture just to teach him not to run through doors so quickly. At one point, it hints that maybe this is a job interview for Rigg, to be another Jigsaw helper. That would be an interesting twist, but ultimately doesn't appear to be the case, and is not really expanded upon. Rigg is better than Jeff, which isn't saying much, yes, but yet again, we've seen this type of protagonist before. An officer of the law who's a bit too involved and gets rough with perceived suspects? Why no, that does not sound familiar at all. The further twist that his test isn't occurring at the point in the timeline we thought it was is also lifted from Saw 2, and is less exciting here. Overall, his character isn't too well formed over the course of the plot, as his whole test is to stay out of things, basically. Therefore, his involvement in the individual traps are more minimal than usual. At least in the original script, he learned Jigsaw's lesson and didn't barge through the final door. But in the finished film, it's all a bit of a waste that leads to... Number 6, the ice block trap. Eric is alive and has rebranded himself as a folk singer. He stands atop a block of ice next to 2 giant heaters. If it melts into water and tips over, it will supposedly electrocute Hoffman. I can't take this seriously. It's like a live-action Dick Dastardly contraption. Just a second. It looks like someone's carelessly left some more ice blocks on the roof, wired up to that door over there. No worries. Eric will be perfectly fine so long as nobody... Oh, Rig! Clean up on Isle Wahlberg. We enter the top 5 now with the Spike Trap. Taking marriage counselling to a new level, a husband and wife are harnessed to the rim and poked with metal spikes. If the wife pulls out the spikes, she will suffer non-fatal injuries, but the very same action will completely rupture her partner's vital organs. An interesting enough dilemma, made all the more satisfying because the husband has already been established as an abusive creep. The classroom setting would be more notable if Saw 3 hadn't just featured a more shocking trap in the same innocent location. But really, the trap is fine. It just kinda comes and goes, like an especially fleshy game of Kaplunk. Anyone in dire need of a haircut? Well, you've come to the right place. I now present the scalping seat. Remorseless pimp Brenda is locked into a mechanism that will twist your hair until your scalp is pulled clean off. A painful business, no doubt, but otherwise par for the course with Jigsaw's shenanigans. What elevates this one is the aftermath. Brenda is freed by Rig, but instantly proceeds to try and cut her saviour to ribbons. It's a great what the fuck moment that is then revealed to be a key part of Jigsaw's learning agenda. My bronze award goes to The Mausoleum. This one's quite fun, and acts as the big opener for the film. 2 men are chained to a big old winch that will slowly strangle them, unless they can work together. Easier said than done when one's eyes are sewn shut, and the other's mouth has been sewn shut. Naturally, they instantly resort to open combat. See no evil, speak no evil. It's an entertaining concept for a trap. We can all relate to situations where communication utterly fails. Very frustrating, though it doesn't usually end with a right battering. Usually. And as Phantasm so wonderfully informed us, mausoleums are fantastic locations for spooks and thrills. Now, my next point could be taken either way. The way the scene is presented, we are given no context for either victim or why they're here. No Billy on the TV, no tape recorder, no flashbacks or reasons given for why these people deserve this. Personally, this brings the trap down a notch. Some added context could have elevated this straight to the A category for sure. Do they know each other? Is there a special relevance to the eyes and the mouth, respectively? Later on we learned that one of them was the aforementioned Art Blank, who found a tape after killing the other guy, leading to Art's test. Still, not really any special context given, and Art could have broken the stitches earlier and spoken to the guy, allowing them both to live. In second place, it's the knife chair. As the name implies, this is a more stripped back simple trap. Knife chair, yeah. No need for major rigging and ice chunks here, and this makes sense, as it's Kramer's first foray into the killing business, and business is good. Junkie and general fuck-up Cecil is told to push his face against the knives in order to make his exterior match his ugly insides. Hehe, nice one, Jiggy. The attempts are wince-inducing. Because this is early days, the trap isn't so polished and crumbles apart, which is a welcome new angle. Yet Cecil is still ungrateful, despite this fortune. He fucks up again by falling for the old stand in front of a cage of barbed wire and then gently move aside at the last second trick. Idiot. Good stuff, but I feel like I should address that I don't really appreciate this whole subplot. We don't need to see that Kramer got the idea for the pig masks from Chinese New Year festivities. His wife didn't need to suffer a miscarriage to spur him on. Less is more. The previous 3 films gave us all we should know about the villain. The revenge twist in this trap transforms Kramer somewhat uncomfortably into anti-hero status. Therefore, easily taking first place, it's the bedroom trap. Well done. This one's got it all. Style, violence, seedy motels, obesity, a dog, a what's in the box moment, and a gruesome trap to fit the gruesome crimes of the offender. The quote-unquote victim of the bedroom trap is Ivan, a serial savage rapist who repeatedly blindfolded women, bound them to the bed, and viciously had his way with them, and beat them, and kept plenty of visual evidence to enjoy after the fact. Bloody fucking hell. To top it off, he kept getting acquitted of these crimes by Art Blank. Okay, I take it back, maybe he is a deserving twat. Congratulations, Jigsaw, you finally found someone worthy of your business. Never before or since do you really relate to Jigsaw's sick need for justice. It's a deliciously fitting punishment for Ivan too. Just like his own victims, he's strapped into a bed and must blind himself, just as the women were blindfolded, and so he can never again gaze upon the sick images. He successfully blows out one eyeball, which makes my retinas feel a little scratchy, but fails to commit to the second eye in time. This gives us one of the greatest trap endings, with his limbs getting fucking torn off one by one like holy crumpets. The red light in the room gives the scene a distinct visual flair, while also giving the room a sleazy vibe, but presumably it was also to slightly mask the sheer ferocity of his fate. Whew! At least the dog escaped unscathed. Thanks, Bedroom Trap. You're the only trap in the film to really make a lasting impact. Those are my opinions. Tell me yours in the comments below, if you want. I'm off now. I see a door over there that I'd really like to run through, so I'll just pick up the pace now and...